This movie is based on a detective fiction novel of the same name by British writer Agatha Christie, which published on 1937. It's a follow-up movie to the 2017 film Murder on the Orient Express, which is also based on the 1934 novel of the same name by Christie. This time, the Belgian detective Hercule Poirot has to solve a murder mystery aboard SS Carnac steamer. He's entrusted with the important task of identifying which one of the passengers is the killer before they strike again. First of all, this adaptation is disappointing. It's an awkward, overly glossy, needlessly indulgent experience that seemed dead set on putting flashy CGI in the way of the mystery. The movie is shameful and ultimately hollow. It's a sort of bland and unimaginative adaptation, wasting a great cast and even better source material. Big-name ensemble cast can't keep this stale and two-dimensional story afloat. The movie gives us black and white flashback to World War I, providing Poirot lost love during the war in 1914 and the silly backstory surrounding his mustache. Then we're introduced to Simon and Jacqueline in an awkward love scene in a nightclub. The movie is really struggling in the first half as it tries to introduce us to many of the characters. This takes a much longer time than expected to arrive at the murder scene. What should be a suspenseful build-up in its first half is instead sluggish and turgid conversations set seemingly against green screen after green screen standing in for Egyptian backdrops. It's full of unnecessary computer-generated scenery and weirdly elaborate nightclub and party scenes with all the ham-fisted exposition. The filmmakers front-load this movie with all the stuff that's really boring. Finally, the actual death takes place and we get to the Poirot interrogates everyone scenes. It means that leaves just the second hour for Poirot to start interrogating the various attendees of the floating wedding party. So the second hour is much more swiftly paced, which unfortunately making the Poirot's inevitable explanation of whodunit at the end feels like it comes awfully too quick. After one of these people is dead, the clockwork grinds into action, but there's no sense of crescendo and climax. The true charm of any Agatha Christie mystery is the cast of characters, usually highlighted by eccentric personalities and vast gulfs in social standing. The major attraction of this kind of movie is the cast of disreputable characters, a charming and quirky detective, an actual twist and mystery, without needing all the glitz and hawkiness. Unfortunately, this movie is lacking in those ingredients and instead spending much resources to the unnecessary stuff. What is most surprising about this film is how bad the acting is. The performances are truly all over the place, only a couple actors who seem comfortable at all. Gal Gadot doesn't work and it's a total miscast. Armie Hammer is trying way too hard to be charming, coming off much more as sleazy than sexy. Kenneth Branagh, who cast himself as Poirot, his performance is far too indulgent and self-serious, stripping away all the charm and humor from the character. Russell Brand, in his effort to be taken seriously, becomes far too stiff and forced. Overall, this film fails in nearly every aspect. With its muddled direction, unnecessarily slow pacing, bad acting, and failed attempts at profundity, surely we do not recommend this movie at all.